Good morning, bedheads. Click. How's it going today? This is Coffee with Karen from Ask the Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well. And thank you for joining. If this is your first time, I hope you stick around and at least find out what the community is all about. Really, it's mostly about this. Alone we are a drop, together we are a flood. I love this mug. I wanted to use this because we do have a mug shop and we're running a 30% off sale this weekend. But I wanted to just encourage people, if you guys wanted to get something from the shop, who knows what this tariff situation is going to be, right? I mean, if they continue to raise it, I don't know. It's so hard to know what's going to happen. But I mean, the mugs could be double the price than they are right now. So not only the mugs, but the buttons and the whatever. So if there's anything you really wanted, and that's not to say, we have ideas for new designs, unfortunately, but we'll just see what happens, but now might be a good time. And so I thought this is like one of my faves. So, and we also have, well, you'll have to go in there. We have a whole new series for Hold the Vision for the Golden Future mugs. So those are kind of fun. So we're doing a 30% off sale through the weekend. So go on in there and have a little look-see. Okay, everything I mentioned is linked below in the description. Okay, I think it's kind of hard to find sometimes. You just have to click on the more. If you're looking on your phone, you just have to click on the little more ... and then you get the description. So I wanted to let you know. So we're going to be talking about a couple things today. The Social Security update, which is very promising. Actually, a couple judge updates, which is very promising when I look at ground news. And I'm going to talk a little bit about ground news because one of the things that I'm trying to do in my life is to stop making assumptions. Okay. It's one of the 4 agreements. If you've read the book, The 4 Agreements, it's one of the 4 agreements. And in fact, I have this idea in the future coming up, maybe over the summer, that we'll do some 30-day challenges on the public channel based on the 4 agreements. So we might do 30 days of doing our best not to make assumptions and 30 days doing our best to be impeccable with our words. So if you know the 4 agreements, then if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You can still do I would give an introduction and then we'll do a 30-day, because it would be amazing to kind of go through each of those like for a month and just focus on, because it would be in your conscious mind then, But anyway, so speaking about ground news, I am really, I'm really, really happy about it, because if you haven't seen ground news, I do have a link below, and we're using it because it's at this point the most neutral of what you can find the truth about what's going on in the world. Okay. My concern is when I'm scrolling. And in fact, one of the things we're working on in the spirit circle is shadow work right now. And one of the things I just wrote, we're in a section that says like list our flaws. And one of them was making assumptions, And one of the things she has you go through is like, what's the internal war you have going on in your head all the time? And I realized through doing this, I think I've always realized it, but now I'm much more, I'm being conscious about it. Like my shadow I've always kind of been aware, but that's been my shadow. And now I'm much more conscious about it, which is why I'm now talking about it, because I'm conscious of it. So hopefully because I'm conscious of it, I will then stop doing it as often, which is the whole idea about shadow work. So anyway, so one of them was about making assumptions. It was like one of my list of flaws. Frankly, I think most of us do it, but I want to work on not doing that, even as it comes to F45, because we make ourselves miserable with the assumptions that we make. I make up stories in my head all the time about what people are doing or what things mean. And I think the problem is when we're scrolling, right? I don't really scroll. Like well, I haven't been on Blue Sky for a while. I don't have Instagram or Facebook, but I got rid of those. But like even scrolling on YouTube, like the headings and stuff, you can make so many assumptions just by, little snippet stories and not getting the full view. Like if you don't get both sides of a story, then you're left with assumptions, basically. Okay. And that's what journalism is supposed to be, is representing, well, people there, we have journalists here and you guys might disagree with that. I shouldn't say that's what journalism is, because I don't know fully, but I prefer to have both sides of the story, like a balanced story. So anyways, Ground News, I'm going to talk about a couple articles that are on Ground News and anything now that I hear about. So I heard about the Anonymous. Anonymous came out with something that they did, some hacking they did. And I went right to Ground News to find out what it was about rather than going to YouTube, because what I like about it is that you can get center. So on Ground News, if you haven't been on there, on Ground News, they have left-leaning articles, right-leaning articles, and center articles. But then they also first of all, they tell you how many articles there are. So like with the Anonymous story, there's 7 articles. And of the 7 articles, left, lean, center. Okay. And then it gives you a list, right? Center. Okay. That's not 7, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That only shows 5. But next to those, yeah, I don't know why it says 7 articles. Next to it, it says high factuality on one. That's from the London Economics. Then there's one that says mixed factuality. Well, I'm not going to read that one. It's lean left, mixed factuality. Why would I want to read the mixed factuality? Then they have high factuality, another one, mixed factuality, high factuality. So I tend to look for the center articles, high factuality, and sometimes they have very high factuality. So then I don't waste my time on the rest of it, right? And so if you're going to work on not making assumptions, then you are interested in what's going on in the world from a more factual standpoint, this is very helpful. We did sign up because we're using it. We signed up as an affiliate, which then gives anybody in the community here, they're not sponsoring us. We just signed up as an affiliate because you can get 40% off because we're affiliates. Okay. So that which is amazing. I signed up for it initially, for the full price, because I had no idea. Then we signed up as an affiliate and we got a discount. Okay. So, and then I asked for a refund and they gave it to me. So that was nice. So anyways, so I didn't realize that you guys would get 40% off. So, that's a huge savings. I mean, that's really generous of them. So anyways, our link is in the description below. So anytime I'm talking from now on, because one thing I'm working on is not making assumptions, you're going to be able to trust, hopefully most of the time, that I've gone to Ground News and kind of looked through things. So, but just a few more things I wanted to tell you, things that were coming up. So we are going to start the 30-day morning pages challenge on May 1st. Next week, when I'm back on Monday, so today I normally don't do Coffee with Karen on Fridays, but because Easter, I usually do it on Sundays. I got something in my teeth. Choo. I'm going to be back on Monday because it's Easter on Sunday. I figure I don't know how many people will listen to me anyways. So on Monday, there's a very good chance I will have the sign up for the newsletter. We're going to start a community newsletter as well that you'll get. It's free. You're going to get, I haven't decided how often, but I won't flood you. Trust me. But if I do, hopefully, I mean, I won't flood you, but the stuff you will receive will be, spirituality based and kind of what the challenges are and stuff like that, just if you want to participate in that. And so, yeah, I'll have a sign up Monday. So hopefully you'll all do it. 30-day challenge. Why not? Maybe you'll decide to do 15 days. It's okay. Maybe you'll do 5. It doesn't matter. Just do 5. Just, join us. It'll be fun. And then in the Spirit Circle, we are going to be starting this in May. So let your spirit guides speak. So if you're in the circle, you might want to get this. I will be going through it. So if funds are, if you don't have a lot of funds right now, that's totally okay. You'll still be able to get a lot out of it. Or you can get the library. I will link it below in the description. And so, so this is going to be a really good book for us to read from, like, just sort of, how do we start tapping in, right? How do we tap in a little bit more? It said a simple guide for a life of purpose, abundance, and joy. So how do we let our spirit guides speak and trust our intuition? Okay. So spirit, that's going to be in the Spirit Circle. And then just a quick reminder about the community business directory. If you haven't signed up, we've got another week or so for the early bird. So the early bird pricing and this is for small businesses. The directory itself will be free and to the community. This is for small businesses. Okay, so you got another week and a half for early bird pricing on that. Okay, so so I've got a couple things. We're going to talk about newsworthy stuff. And then I've got a message from the SGs today, which is always interesting. And this is the card deck they wanted us to, which I love always. It's funny because the soul mirror used to be my favorite. And now that I've been using it more often, I'm getting like, how you sort of use something and then you're like, okay, I feel like I'm getting done with this one. It's funny that was my favorite. And now because I don't use the other ones as much, I feel like the soul mirror one is getting less and less my favorite now. So it's kind of interesting. But okay, so, and I think with the message today, with the pendulum message, I will pull out the rods and ask some clarifying questions. Okay. So anyways, there's a couple things that I think would be helpful for this community. One of them is the judge order on Social Security. I think a lot of folks in this community, not everybody, but a lot of folks are getting up towards retirement. And so just kind of keeping our pulse on what's going on with that is probably pretty helpful. So this is, again, found on Ground News. Judge extends ban on Musk's Doge access to private Social Security data. So that's really good. Okay. So let's see. So U.S. District Judge Ellen Hollander of Maryland said Musk's Department of Government Efficiency had failed to show the need for the unprecedented, unfettered access. I like how she put that. It had sought to the SSA data to achieve their stated goal of rooting out fraud. So they failed to prove that that's why they needed it. Like, what fraud are you concerned about? That sort of thing. So Hollander had issued a temporary restraining order last month restricting Doge access to SSA data, but it was due to expire on Thursday, which was yesterday. The preliminary injunction cements the restrictions for a longer time while the case plays out. The injunction is a win for the two labor unions and an advocacy group that sued SSA, Musk, Doge, and others in February, seeking to stop Doge members from accessing some of the agency's most sensitive data systems, which is, I like reading up on these because how many stories have we heard about, but we don't really know if anyone's doing anything. You know what I mean? So it's nice to know whose, 2 labor groups and an advocacy group have sued. So 3 different groups are suing SSA. Yeah, they have actually sued SSA, like for giving data. Musk, Doge, the entity Doge, they sued Musk separately, and others, it says. Doesn't say who the others are. Hollander said, so that's the judge, the plaintiffs would likely succeed on their claim that Doge staff members had violated privacy laws, so that those who are suing will likely succeed on their claim that Doge staff members had violated privacy laws in their various efforts so far to access data, and that an injunction was needed to protect Americans from irreparable harm. The amazing thing about this that I really appreciate is that, this one, the next article actually, this Hollander was nominated by a federal bench by former President Barack Obama, a Democrat. The next article, I do appreciate when there's like a Republican judge who puts a stop to something that a Republican Party is doing. Why are the judges, why is there a political stance on judges at all? I don't really understand that about our country. Like, why is that? Is there something in the Constitution about that? I've got the Constitution. I bought my little set just in case they decide to get rid of the whole thing, which I know they took off of the White House webpage. I mean, how ridiculous. Can you believe that? They took the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. I was like, what's the other one? Off of the White House website. I mean, if that's not, I just got to stretch thinking about that. If that's not, a crime in itself, I don't know what is, but God. Anyways, so yeah, I'll have to read about that because I don't understand why is, the DAs and the Supreme Court and all that, why are they even associated? So I'm wondering if over time that's something we want to make a change on, because that just doesn't seem like it should be. It should be based on the law. I mean, judges make decisions based on the law. So why is there a political, like, why is one judge a Democrat and one judge a Republican? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Does anyone know? Anybody know out there? Okay, so that's really good news. That's really, really good news. And the next thing is, I liked this article. So this had to do with, and this judge is a Republican appointed judge. Okay. So I'm not even saying, maybe the judges themselves don't even disclose if they're Republican or Democrat. I have no idea, but it's based on who they're appointed by, right? So, judge warns Trump risks public perception of lawlessness in his fight with courts. I love that. Okay. So this judge, and this was written on the 17th, so yesterday. Okay. This had to do, so there is a picture of the El Salvadorian jail. Okay. Like how they're making those people walk with their, backs down and stuff. So, a U.S. appeals court urged the Trump administration on Thursday to back off from its escalating confrontation with the judiciary while upholding a judge's order to facilitate the return of a man wrongly deported to El Salvador. And then in quotes, the executive will lose much of a public perception of its lawlessness. U.S. Circuit Judge Harvey Wilkinson wrote on behalf of a 3-judge panel. The executive branch in the U.S. Constitution refers to the president. So they said the executive will lose much from a public perception of its lawlessness. We yet, and this is in quotes, we yet cling to the hope that it is not naive to believe our good brethren in the executive branch perceive the rule of law as vital to the American ethos. Okay. So this is an appointee by Ronald Reagan, which is amazing because that was a long time ago. In a strongly worded unanimous opinion, the panel of the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said Trump appeared to be trying to harm public opinion of the judiciary with his frequent invective, that's the word they use, against judges who rule against him. The panel said he might succeed, but warned his anti-judiciary campaign may backfire if the public begins to doubt he is following the law. So really cool. I think that's really cool. So he's getting some feedback, some shadow work. Trump is getting some shadow work, some feedback for him. So I think that's really good. I found that really positive. Okay, and then the anonymous article. So I guess this was going around social media. I know they posted on Blue Sky and probably on TikTok, I think. So let's see. We have a left-leaning article, high factuality, a center high factuality. So that's the one I went to. And we have a center mixed factuality. And here's Forbes, and this one is center high factuality. The other one is Digi24, which I don't know. So I do know Forbes, so I'm going to click on that one. So it doesn't sound like, according to actually each of these articles, I kind of read through a couple of them. So basically, the anonymous PR machine is in full flight once again, claiming a new cyber attack on Russia in defense of Ukraine. The hacking collective has released a cache of some 10 terabytes, it says, which includes data on all businesses operating in Russia, all Kremlin assets in the West, and guess who's on it? Allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, but this is reported in the news, and this is high factuality, pro-Russian officials, Trump, and more, okay? And then these anonymous hacks don't have the same impact as in the past, potentially because there have now been so many. And Cyber News reports that from what files have been examined so far, the overall consensus seems to be that the leaked information is simply not that exciting. That's because we all know it, right? And apparently not that secret. So maybe it's because people on the left have been assuming these things. Okay, again, the assumption. But if we've made assumptions about it, now we're starting to get proof. So yeah, it is kind of exciting to me. I mean, I wouldn't say that, maybe it's not that secret because we've all been making assumptions about it, but I think proof would be very helpful, right? Because we're working on not making assumptions. Then they also said there's a file called the Domino's Pizza, something to have to do with Domino's Pizza. So I don't know. So if anybody has heard specifically what that's about, because they don't go into detail in this article and any of the articles on Ground News. So unsurprisingly, the anonymous claims have been largely debunked, which is interesting. Keep that in mind. The anonymous claims have been largely debunked, albeit some of what's included in the cache, which is nowhere near 10 terabytes in size. So again, this is really helpful because I sort of had this image of and I think Anonymous is doing good things. And we did a video on Anonymous. I think we did 2 of them where the SGs answered questions. So I actually trust the SGs more than Forbes magazine or Forbes reporting here. So I will post the Anonymous videos right here if you haven't caught them. At the end of this video, they'll pop up right there. Okay. But it looks which is nowhere near 10 terabytes in size, but might be helpful to Ukraine's armed forces. So it sounds like this was intended to help Ukraine's armed forces in some way. So Okay. So that's really, I don't, people are they're looking at it basically. But Anonymous posted, was this on X? It looks like it might have been on X. In defense of Ukraine, Anonymous has released 10 terabytes of leaked data on all businesses operating in Russia, all Kremlin assets in the West, pro-Russian officials, de-Trump, and more. And then the hashtag OP Russia. But then there's like a list of data in the files. There's one on Donald Trump. There's one called Domino's Pizza. So I don't know what that's about. There's a whole bunch of them. So kind of interesting. Okay, so let me know if you have any additional information or your sources. Sources are really, I'm really, again, because I'm working on not making assumptions as part of my shadow work, that if you're saying things, if you can cite sources, and you can't put links in our chat, in our comments, but if you could at least cite the source, that'd be amazing. Okay, so let's get to the message for today. And I am going to ask some clarifying questions because I'm curious. So, as always, what I've been doing is asking the pendulum. I do my prayer, use my pendulum, and then the, something that looks like this. I have these used. So it has the letters so they can spell out words for me. Okay. And this morning, and then I do ask for it to be a message collectively from all of our spirit teams, whoever's watching this video. Okay, so now and in the future, and that it be for our highest and best good. Okay, collectively. So it's a collective message for the community. Okay, so I kind of liked this reminder. F45 is just a man. He's just a man, right? Okay. So then I said, well, why do you want us to know that? Why do you want us to know that? Okay. Let God deal with him. Let God deal with him, which has been the karmic balancing I'll talk about, because I put that down. They didn't spell that out. It's been very interesting because that message has been very strong this week. And who are we to argue? That's my saying nowadays. Who am I to argue with God? I'm not going to argue with God. Why would we do that? So literally the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last 6 messages, all 6 of them had something, said trust God, love God, just trust God, let God handle it. And now here, let God deal with him. It's interesting how I like the let God handle it, and I like the let God deal with him. And there's the saying, let go, let God, right? So, and again, that doesn't mean that we don't take inspired action. It doesn't mean we don't participate on Action Day, which is tomorrow on the 19th. Okay. Now keep in mind, I did hear somebody, and I don't remember who it was now. I don't remember who it was. So I usually like to cite who I've heard things from. But I listened to several yesterday on astrology. So and maybe this isn't a secret to people, but just keep in mind that whatever's happening astrologically for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, and maybe on Sunday, is going to increase aggression. Okay, increase aggression. So just, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go if you're going to a protest or, no, we're not calling them protests. We're calling, if you're going to a protection for American democracy, or a rally. Let's just call them rallies. I do like protections, though. But people understand rallies. But so if you're going to one, just keep your head on a swivel, like Dana from Somatic Money says. Just keep your head on a swivel, and just go with groups, and just ask God and Archangel Michael to put a protective bubble around you and the whole thing, the whole event. So just watch out for that, because who knows if we might see a little bit more aggression somewhere throughout, whether it's around the world. I mean, it's happening around the world. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, so let me just ask. I'll do the prayer now because we're going to do the prayer anyways for the card draw. Okay, so I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, and all of those of the purest and highest light. And ask Archangel Michael to please protect this channel and this community so it is only of the purest and highest light. Amen. Okay, so good morning. Good morning. How are you guys today? Nice. Okay. So, question. So you guys spelled out for me actually, let's call in all the spirit teams again for anyone who is watching this now and in the future, so that you guys are here for this and the card draw. Okay. Are you guys all here? Is everybody here? Have we all gathered for coffee with Karen? Are we all bedheads this morning? No, not butt heads. Bed. I guess I'm going to have to start saying bed. Bed heads. Bed heads. I have a really fancy one going on today. Okay. So, yes, are you guys all having your bed heads this morning? Okay. See, what I like about calling all the teams together, you guys, because you can talk to your own team, obviously, but together we are a flood, right? Click. Okay, so let's see. So you guys spelled out Trump is just a man, correct? Yes. Okay. Then you also said let God deal with him. Is that correct? Yes. Does that mean that we can sit back and just really just let the whole thing play out? Oh, yes. Yes, it does. Does it mean that you want us to refrain from taking inspired action? No. Okay. Okay. Because, I mean, they could say yes and say, you know what, do we need to take inspired action? Yes. Okay, very good. So when you say let God deal with him, let God deal with him, when we feel inspired to take action or inspired to create a sign or inspired to make a phone call, whatever, is that God dealing with him? Yes. Okay. If we don't feel inspired, let's say to go to a protection or a rally, if we don't feel inspired, do you recommend we still go? No. Okay. Will we be doing the opposite of what we intend to do if we don't feel inspired? Yes. Okay. So, all right. Which means if you have any doubt, if you just have any doubt, if you're like, oh, I don't know, I just don't feel like, or whatever. But if you wake up in the morning, you're like pumped, you're like, yeah, get my sign, I'm going, I'm excited. That's inspired action. That energy is really different, right? Than, all right, I'm going to the rally today, that type of thing. Or I don't really want to go. I don't want to be in this huge crowd, which is how I feel. There will be a point, I guarantee it, where I will feel inspired to go to one of the protections. I just don't quite have it yet. So what I did this week, and I'm going to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow specifically, but what I did this week is donated. I went and bought a bunch of food for our food pantry because I'm a little concerned and I donated. I also have thoughts because I live in a community, and you guys can do this in any kind of community you live in, but I've also had thoughts recently of pulling together a few of my neighbors. I live in a condo community, but pulling together a few of my neighbors and just having a conversation, like left-leaning neighbors. I know who they are. A lot of people are, but I don't know, not everybody. But and it doesn't even have to be left leaning, but I think they're going to be more motivated at this point to start talking about how as a community we can do things differently. Like I thought to myself, we have so many we have different community areas, that are not being used for anything. And it's like, well, we could have little gardens in each of those areas. We could have a community library in our clubhouse. We could have a community puzzle area in our clubhouse. Just stuff like that, just to start bringing resources to the community and supporting each other. And this is the first time I've kind of really thought about that. And I like that where my head is going. So I was thinking about just asking a few neighbors. Maybe I will think about that tomorrow. So anyways, okay. So let's see. I did want to ask about next week. I want to talk I want to talk more in this community to get a very, very clear understanding about karma. Okay. I've done some videos on karma with the SGs, but I want to start having some conversations about it because it's really fascinating. I've just read recently, I'll share what I read next week, just because I had other stuff to talk about today. But I just read recently some things about karma that really helped me understand it. And I think it will help us understand our own lives the more we understand the collective, like just the overall purpose of karma. Okay. Because I've always thought of karma as like, oh, you better watch out. Karma's coming after you. It's not really about that, is my understanding. So I think, watch for me to be talking about that coming up, because I think if we got a really good understanding about karma, that I think it could really change the way we see our lives. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. So, because one, I think the more we understand it, so let me just ask, is karma something that you think would be helpful for us as a community to understand more about? Yes. Okay. So it is worth us having this conversation? Yes. Okay. So there is a level of karmic balancing. Is that true? Yes. Okay. So are we just everything that happens in our lives and in the world, is it all related to balancing karma? Yes. Okay. So that's a huge statement, actually. So everything that happens in the world is about balancing karma? Yes. Okay. That's why this is important. If everything in the world is related about balancing karma, we could really understand ourselves much better from a spirituality standpoint and just, a human standpoint, if we understand that. So I think hopefully you guys are interested in that, because I want to dive into that a little bit. Okay, so let God deal with him, take inspired action. I like the idea of the reminder that F45 is just a man. He's just a man, So he's no different than the person sitting next to you right now. If there's somebody sitting next to you, he's just a man, So I know you're going to say, but this and that and this, but just sit on it for a minute that he's just a man. Okay. And see how that feels for you. Don't do the buts and the whats and the, just sit on it. It was a message from the SGs. So ask yourself this: why are the SGs telling me that F45 is just a man? Sit on that. Don't don't go, but this and that, like I just said, just sit on, why are they telling you that? Why is that? Why do they tell you that? There's a reason, right? And each of us will have a different answer to that. So, and then why are they telling you, me, each of us individually? Let God deal with them. Let God deal with them. And it does have to do with karma balancing. So, Okay, let's get a card for today. All right. So I already did the prayer. So what message? I love these. I just love these cards. I wonder, I guess if you use cards too much, I don't know. That's just my personality though. I get kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with these, All right. Whoops, we've got some popping up here. All right. Let's see. Let's see if either of those are the cards they want us to look at. Okay, did you want us to look at both of those cards? Yes. Are there any others in the deck you want me to pull? No. Okay, so we have 2 for today. All right. Which would be good, 2 for the next 2 days, 1 for Saturday, 1 for Sunday. You can focus on if you wanted to. Okay, so the first message is, the first message is jingle dress, miracles. And it is a 7, 1 plus 6, so 16, 1 plus 6 is a 7. Jingle dress, miracles. Beautiful, huh? Okay, the second one, I love the back of the cards too. Isn't that pretty? All right, the second message, so pretty. Sacred tears, expression. 1, 7, that's an 8. 8 card. I can go right into these cards and just sit in that space, I feel like. Look at how beautiful. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which was 16. Oh, we had a 16 and a 17. That's interesting. I don't know why that's interesting. It just is. It's interesting because, the fact that they popped out like that, I don't know. They're not in order in the deck, so. Okay. Let's see. Well, let's just do a little, I'm going to read the whole thing. During the 1980s flu pandemic, a little girl had fallen deathly ill and was unable to recover. Her father had a vision of dancers wearing a dress with 4 rows of jingle metal bells. And when the sick child saw the dance, she joined in, and the medicine poured through the movement of her feet, curing her. Now, he had a vision, so no different than, it was his intuition, basically. This medicine comes forward to teach you to believe in the possibility of healing and the existence of miracles. What miracles do you want to call in at this time? The energy around you now is open to bright, brilliant possibilities. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you wish for? This would be a great thing. You want to take a picture? I'll move my head. This would be a great thing to think about even today or tomorrow, like when we're off and we're not, just this, it's Holy Weekend with Easter. It might be kind of a cool thing to think about. If you answer those questions, what miracles do you want to call in at this time? The energy around you now is open to bright, brilliant possibilities. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you wish for? Your healer guides, ancestors, and animal spirits are gathering around you to deliver the answers to your prayers. Everything is possible. Just as the little girl was cured by the medicine of the jingle dress, you too hold the capacity for something equally as powerful coming to you now. Where in your life do you need miracles to touch you? Where have you felt stuck or hopeless? There is an opportunity for your situation to shift in a different, beneficial direction. Stay open to circumstances changing, for miraculous happenings are here. Yay! That's an amazing card. And then the healing affirmation is, I am open to miracles touching my life. Very cool. I love that. Okay, number 17, sacred tears. Sacred tears. Tears hold our sacred waters, memories, essence, and medicine. Today you are invited into a healing space by the power of spirit and the ancestors. They hold you, they see you, and they encourage you to express all that you have held on to so tightly. Shadow work, inner work, right? Having your unconscious come to your conscious. It's been a challenging time, and there is no shame in acknowledging this. Yes, it has. Recall all the tears you have swallowed back or emotions you have pushed down. It's time for them to release. Shadow work. Raw emotions and feelings are a call for love. This card is a reminder that you are worthy of taking space and time to allow for all to pass through. Let your tears fall to the earth so your sacred water can enter the soil. As we deeply feel, we can truly heal. This time of sadness and vulnerability is essential for you to move through so the next cycle can enter. I mean, again, I hope you guys don't get sick of me talking about this because, I mean, I kind of can judge it because if I get sick of talking about something, then I'll probably stop talking about it, obviously. But the more I'm finding, and I think this is true about shadow work or just inner work, just getting stuff that's been in you that you haven't been looking at for a while, but it's there. It's there whether you want to look at it or not. The more you can clear that, the more opportunity you have for new things to enter, you know? So it's really kind of exciting. I know there's people here who are really hesitant to do it and nervous about it, but you don't really need to be. You don't really need to be. If you can get excited about it, change your mindset about it, you know? The sacred tears that are held in your own body and spirit also hold the tears of your ancestors and relatives. When you shed them, you heal the past, present, and future generations. You know, I started thinking as I'm doing the shadow work, that I'm really glad I'm doing it because I don't want to have to reincarnate with the same stuff. I want to keep moving and growing, you know, and so we have the opportunity to do it. You know, let's do it so that, again, you don't have to just reincarnate over and over trying to learn the same stuff. When you shed them, I like this, it's just a reminder, when you shed them, you heal the past, present, and future generations. Your medicine waters bless the world. It's safe to express your emotions at this time. Release the grief and pain, for as you do, there is more capacity for joy and ease to flow. Healing affirmation: as I allow my tears to flow out of my heart and into the world, I heal deeply. So I kind of like this and then this. The more you do this, the more this happens, right? The more we allow our sacred tears to flow and heal, the more miracles happen, right? So great message today. All right, well, have an amazing weekend, and I will be posting tonight at 7 p.m. If you'd like to join me, that would be amazing. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.